Okay, so all this pie in the sky, how some of this can possibly work for us. So we've been talking to people. Yesterday, Pramodji organized a meeting for us with help from Troy and some other good friends of ours from morning to afternoon. We ran late, but people were still kind and they were waiting for us. We had a meeting at IDRC, we had a meeting with the Canadian Association of Colleges and University, with CEDA, with DFAID, and we've been meeting with people. We've also been contacting people in the World Bank, ADB, and so on. And here are some back of the envelope pre-business kind of ideas. The government of Nepal would support the total initial cost with some infrastructure, and it doesn't have to be all at once. This is something that we learned yesterday. It could be a huge elephant, but we can have an ear from here, we can have a trunk from here, we can leg from here. And like CEDA was indicating to us that they might be able to give us a small leg, but not the whole elephant, right? We'll take anything. So let's say looks like I compared some of the universities that have been established in Nepal and India and the kind of costing. About $25 million is the initial, this is kind of some establishment. This is not totally operational. The government of Nepal will have in-kind, some support and some cash. Let's say it's about $8 million. External funding from the international financial institutions may be about $15 million. We've been talking to World Bank, ADB, and so on. Some of it fits the program that they have. NRA and diaspora in kind and cash support. Some of us who live in rich countries can give a couple $100 a piece. Some of the people who reach in Russia and so on can fork out $10,000, $20,000 because among our diaspora there's one billionaire. And there are a couple people who have an asset of $300-400 million. So sometimes it's hard to convince to them that we live in Canada and the US, but we cannot really fork out a lot of money because we are in debt, right? But they know we can do other things. We can give them ideas and we can give them maybe $200, right? But there are people who have committed us like $10,000 a piece. And to leverage and to show our commitment, we will be building a little bit of egg ourselves. And some of the people will definitely pour in when there are commitments from people. So there will be in-kind. If we actually count the in-kind support, it's already a lot. I mean, we travel on our own. Some people, I think somebody thought that, hey, these guys are traveling well. It looks like they've got some fun. You know, we're traveling on our own. We're staying with our friends and we're spending our money. And if we count all of that, Pramod himself, I think, has given more than 1.5 years of almost full-time. That's in-kind is quite a bit of money, but we'll give some cash also. And then, of course, the operating cost is different. We want to have some grants and loans, and we want to have some regular income once we establish some money and think of sustainability. This is something that is initial estimation. Okay. This is something down the road in terms of the management. Of course, we want to make it open for education. People with certain age who can really write an exam and qualify for entrance do not need to have even a degree to get into it. For undergraduate, only for graduate, you need an undergraduate degree. For graduate degree, many people haven't made it to high school in Nepal. They are self-studying, they are self-educated. We can coach them, and if they're eligible, they can be admitted. That's why it is open. In terms of the money also, we want to make it possible for them. Some people like employed by NGO or employed by the government or some employers can pay, but people who cannot, we will help them. And there will be scholarship. As a matter of fact, at the DFAID, Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade in Canada, we found out yesterday that there could be scholarships that are kind of possible in Nepal. And there will be government programs and of course private loans and so on. Probably there will be an R&D scholarship. Some of the more fortunate, richer people can establish scholarship in their own names. There will be endowments, investments, long-term supporting mechanism from international and multilateral institutions, 5 years funding, 10 years funding. I worked in some international institutions, went back to Nepal and lived there 5 years. People can give you a core funding for 5 years or 10 years if they like your program. And they say, okay, this is something that we can do to make it sustainable. We'll help you for 10 years. After 10 years, we want to be convinced every year that you're making it plans to become self-supporting. So those are some of the possibilities. And then there are also private foundations that we will approach. There are foundations which can help in this kind of activities. Okay. So the sustainability part, of course, is the crux of all of it, because you can always start an institution. And we heard that from CEDA also yesterday, that you can start an institution but to make it sustainable is a bigger challenge. So the tuition is not by itself is not going to totally sustain, it will be just one component. That's true of even rich universities here. The tuition by itself is not sustaining any university. Government contribution, of course, is very important, even for private universities in the US. Investment, once the university gets some initial funding, they can invest, lands and so on. And then we can have some endowment fundings. And this is something, that's why we need a very strong and detailed business plan to make it possible. So what are some of the strategies that we have to make some of this fundraising happen? What are we working on? We are already doing some legwork. We are in the process of obtaining an endorsement. So we become a partner of the government of Nepal. We do have a letter of support that Pramodji got, but it's not as good as we want. They did say that, okay, this is an initiative that we appreciate from the Ministry of Education, but we want to go beyond that. We want to make it much more stronger, and of course, we seek support from Excellency Ambassador in this also. The NRNA CFFN proponent team approaches international funding institutions. The kind of meeting that we had yesterday, the kind of correspondence I have been having with the World Bank, ADB, and other organizations, those are part of it. Some of them we've already kind of lined up. We have established some support. We have established contacts. Then, once we have the support from the government of Nepal, we will begin to negotiate with these IFIs. And once the funding is identified, there will be agreements that will be done, and the ongoing funding drives will continue, and funding support from the diaspora, like I was mentioning before, will also continue. And then, of course, this is an ongoing thing for at least several years before things become self-sustaining and operational. Okay, what have we done? We've done the concept paper that is in the CFFN website. We have consolidated the Houston conference, whole day conference. We have consolidated quite a few ideas about that. This is the free business plan that I'm showing it to you right now. I presented even the earlier version of this in Houston 2 months ago. That MOU, as you see, is being in the works, as CFFN is one of the partners. We are looking for official backing, but work has to continue. The proponent team prepares ideas on what supports can be mobilized from outside and prepares a business plan. Now, that was one of the things that we wanted to discuss with people. If we can get some seed money, a couple $100,000, we wanted to employ a good, strong team and consulting company to do that business plan. Now, I don't know if that is going to happen or not, but we have a very good support. I think, Pramodji, when you talk to President Panico, he did indicate that we'll get some support from Athabasca on development.
My whole team Athabasca is here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an indication of support. The proponent team reaches out to potential international donors, which is in the process, work with the government, OU and content development and implementation that Pramodji is working on. We want to hire an external, international, and domestic consultant. That's our next step in our vision. We'll see how it works. We've done the NRNA has accepted the initiative. In summary, the team has been organized. Concept paper is done. Site visits to Open University completed. Our team went to Athabasca. NRNA delivered letter to Nepali Prime Minister. It was delivered like a couple months ago about the Open University. MOU is being reviewed. Contacts are established with external partners. Initial contacts, and then outreach has begun. This is part of this. And the first workshop was in Houston. The second one is here. And the immediate action plan, which I just mentioned before, is we're seeking for some $300,000 or equivalent kind of support, technical support, to have that document, because without that kind of document, to mobilize the big money from the international donors is not going to be possible. So that's something that we need to do. And as kind of people who can only give some, we are all professionals, we're giving a lot of time, but we are not really competent to prepare a whole full-fledged business plan on this one. This is something that can be done by people who know education, who know financing, who know the lay of the land, both in Nepal and also outside. So that's the immediate action plan that we have, is to look for expansion and preparation of the real plan. And so that's all I took a little more time, I'm sorry, but I wanted to give you, some of the people are not initiated, especially like Honorable Kilgore and some other people did not have the total information that I want to provide, because that will help any discussions that we wanted to make. So that is my presentation, and all the questions and answer we can do during the discussion time.